can use what we call application filtering. So what is the application filtering? Now, Symantec Proxy had a database that identifies huge number of web applications, such as CNN, for example, or Facebook, for example, has been identified as an application. So since we are able to identify, okay, a website as an application, we can create a more granular policy to control the website. Okay? So we can't just, only block them based on their category, right? But likewise, we can find out what is that website is designed for, and administrator can create policy to either allow, deny feature of that website. So I think I mentioned one example earlier using YouTube, whereby we can allow user to access YouTube, for example, but because we have an application for YouTube, we can actually create policy to deny also people from watching YouTube video, but giving them access to YouTube website. And that only we can do if we understand the website based on application. All right? So that provides the administrator a more granularity in terms of control of what people can do on certain web application. Okay? So the proxy out of the box comes with 5 different databases that you can use as a content filter. Okay? We have, of course, our homebrew content filter database. Okay? Besides the database that you can create or you can use in proxy, that's what you can see here, you have also, or administrator also has an ability to create a separate database using a policy. Okay? So if you bring up the policy of the proxy, you can likewise create a what we call policy category. Okay? So let's take a look at that over here. So let's just use the VPNs. And let me just make it more simple here. Okay, let's just delete all of it so that it will be more simpler. So layer that. Okay, so a policy category, a category is a part of a destination trigger. So it is an object that is under destination trigger. So if you right-click the destination set, new, and over here you look for an object that is called request URL category. Okay, because we are dealing with categories. So click on request URL category. Now, this is a policy category comes out of the box. But this policy category do not have categories by default. You can then add your own categories here. So, for example, let's say, let me just cancel this one first. Let me go back to my proxy. So what is our policy? So our default policy is allow. So then I will create a policy that denies certain things. So set, new, and URL category. So let's say this is your block list because your default policy is allow. So we will create a policy category to deny certain things. So just add here. So this is my policy and let's say block list. All right. So this is my policy block list. I can then populate this with URL. I can highlight this, edit URL, and then I can type, several URLs. Right. So these are my URLs. Now, one thing I want to point out here is that this is not a preferred method in creating database if the list of URLs grow to more than several hundreds. Okay? If you are maintaining a list of URLs that is about in a region of 1,000, this is not the method to use. Okay? So you can use this if, let's say, you have like several URLs that you are maintaining. But if the list is around 1,000 plus, do not use this. I will show you a different method in a short while to actually use it. Can you please mute your line? Because we can hear. So let me okay this. So this is my policy block list. All right, so let me just edit this. I will just rename it also as my policy block list. So this is my policy block list. Okay. All right. So of course you need to install this. So now you can use, you can now try to test the policy. Say cnn.com, right? espn.com. Okay, so all denied because of this policy. So this is what you call policy category. So administrator can maintain this policy category. And as I said, if the list of category grows to more than 1,000, this is not a way to go. This is not a method that we recommend. All right, I show you another method in a short while. Now, besides the policy category, so this is maintained on the box. So when you back up your VPM, for example, let's say you want to back up your VPM, the list will actually be the backup as well. So when you back up the VPM, those lists will also be backed up. All right, so it is maintained on the box, on proxy. Okay, it could be a white list, it could be a block list, because my default policy is allow, so I am using it as a block list. Otherwise, my default policy will allow the traffic. So besides the policy category, we also have YouTube category. All right, now YouTube categorized their own URLs or their own videos as well. Okay, so in order for this to work, you need to create a API version 3 in YouTube. So you go to developers.youtube.com, create a free version 3 API key, and then configure that or copy and paste that API key in your proxy. So you just go to content filtering, and then YouTube, and then paste the API key here and click set. So once that key is set, you will now be able to create policy based on YouTube categories. Then obviously you need to enable it here, right? So you have to enable it over there. So it complains because I don't have the key. So I don't have a valid key. Okay, so that is what you can do. Besides, obviously, YouTube category, once it appears in your policy, then you can create policy to deny certain category. Similarly, as what you can see earlier on the policy category that I created. Okay. Besides that, we can also use another database. We call it a local category database. Okay, and this is what we actually recommend if the list of URLs you are maintaining grows to several thousand. Remember the policy category just now? That is not recommended if the list grows to more than 1,000. Okay? So how do you, in fact, use this policy category? So as you notice here, this is off the box. All right? So meaning to say this is not in the proxy. It is outside the proxy, potentially in your, or it could be hosted in one of your intranet server. Okay? So to enable this, as you can see here, local database. So what you need is the location of that database in your network. All right? And then you paste it there and then download it. So for example, let's see if I have any. All right, so let me connect to the server. If I can connect. Okay, and do I have an example here? All right, I have local DB. So, all right, so I will take this location here and I will configure this in my proxy. Okay, so basically this list can grow. All right, so I can actually let this, I can add more URLs here as I wanted to based on my requirement, right? So this is my defined category, denied site. So this is what we call, this is an example of a category definition. This is what we call the name definition. This is a content policy language, a programming language we use to create policy in proxy. So over here, this is the actual syntax, defined category. This is the category definition, and this is the name that you want to put. And underneath, you will put all the list of URLs that you want under this denied site. And at the bottom, make sure you put an end. So we talked partially about this once we are in the advanced course. Okay? All right, so now that we have copied this location of the database in our proxy, let's go ahead and apply this. Okay? And then download this. We can just download it, or we can schedule a download for this. Let's go ahead and download it. All right, so this should be finished very fast. So it says here that we have about 8 URL patterns and 2 categories. All right, so we have 2 categories, allow size and denied size, and then 8 URLs. Okay? All right, then obviously I need to enable it over here. Okay, so we can apply this. Now, okay, it is important that you secure that database as well. Okay, so you can secure the database using a username and a password. All right, so once that is enabled already, we can go ahead and use that in a policy. All right, so you can just add a rule here. Again, categories is a part of destination trigger. It is an object under destination trigger that's called URL category. So at the moment, we don't see it here, right? So what we need to do, we need to relaunch our VPN. Okay, because we know we have enabled it already, but it's not appearing in local, it's not appearing in our VPN, so we need to relaunch it. All right, remember, the Java is also caching the VPN. Okay, so right click in here, set new URL category. So as you can see, local appears now. All right, so click on that. So this is our denied site. This is our block list. So this is, let's just name it as local, and then let's say block list. Okay, so this is a local block list, and then let's install this. All right, So then we can try to access certain things that we are blocking them. I can say hacking. Come. All right, so now it's denied. Obviously, we can access other websites. So because it falls under our default policy of allow. Okay, so a person who's going to maintain the list don't need to have access to the proxy. So basically, that person would have just access to this. This is basically just a text file, as what you can see here. As long as you have access to this text file in the server, you can just update the list. Okay, you can do that. All right, so that is the local category database. Now, besides that, also our homebrew Bluecoat WebFilter category. So this is a licensable component, meaning to say you need to purchase a license to use that. All right, so once you have the license to use it, which currently, if you go to Bluecoat here, we have two sources that we are using. We have a legacy source, which is this one, the second one. If you click on this, now this requires credential to access the database. So this is a legacy method. All right, but when we introduce version 6 and above, we have added intelligence service. We're going to talk about this later on. So once you are subscribed to the service, you can then enable this over content filtering, apply, okay, and then you can start to use it now in your policy. Okay, so let's add a rule here, set new URL category. So here is Bluecoat. Let's just use the top, move the A's, okay? So let's say this is my, let's say BC block list. Okay, so this is your deny here. So we can try to do a test. So we have a test website here, which is site preview. So this is our test website. Go ahead and access that site. And here are the different categories, test pages. Okay, so I know we blocked all the A's here, so we can try one. All right, so you can see we are being blocked. If we try to access the B, which is we did not block it, brokerage and trading, so we should be able to access. So you can see we can access the website here. But once we try other, it's all denied. All the A's that we have configured are all denied. Okay, so that is basically using the Symantec Bluecoat WebFilter, or this is Symantec Bluecoat WebFilter category. Okay, now once you are subscribed to it, you know, we support about 85 categories, 50 languages, updated every 5 minutes here. The proxy also will have the ability to connect to our cloud service. And we call that cloud service a web pulse. It is a part of our intelligence service. Okay? So how does the interaction work? So basically, this is how it looks like. Let's say a user would like to access a website, and that website is a new website. Maybe your website was published, let's say, 2 minutes ago. Okay? So you try to access the website. It's very new, around 2 minutes published. So when the user accesses the website, obviously when it hits the proxy do not know what is the category of that website because it was published like 2 minutes ago. Because the proxy do not know what is the category, the proxy by default will perform dynamic categorization checking via WebPulse. So it will check on WebPulse, it will connect WebPulse and submit that URL, and WebPulse, using AI and other techniques that we are using, will try to identify a category for that new website. Okay, so that is all automatic. It happens within several milliseconds. User will not be able to feel that, that is being done at the background. So if WebPulse is able to identify automatically a proper category for the website, then it will respond back with the category. It's a proxy. The proxy wouldn't check the database if the proxy wouldn't check the policy, all right, and update the database. It checks the policy. If the policy states that a website has to be blocked, maybe the new website fall under hacking, and you have a policy to block hacking, then the proxy will block it and respond back to the user with the page, exception page that says denied. Otherwise, if the policy says it is allowed, then the user obviously will be able to access the website. Now, in case WebPulse is not able to determine the category, the cloud will respond back with a pending category to the proxy. Okay? So it will respond back with a pending category to the proxy. So it depends on what policy you have for pending. So we have here a policy. So pending is part of our what we call system category. Okay, so let's say pending. All right. So let's say pending category. So over here it's pending category. So if let's say if the category is pending, I will deny user from accessing it. Okay, so that I can do in the policy. So the proxy will reply back with pending. If you do not have a policy for pending, then it will use the default policy, whatever your default policy is there, and it will allow deny. Okay, so if you have a policy such as what I have just shown you, then it will use the policy. All right, so that is basically what the proxy will do. We'll try to identify if we can find out what is the category of the website. Now, what happened to the website then that we have categorized as pending? How would we be able to identify the actual category for the website? We will use human narrators. Okay, so we have people sitting back in who will try to examine the website and find out what is the best suited category for the website in question. Okay, so that is what the proxy will, or that is what WebPulse will do. After it finds out, then the next update, the database on all the proxies in the world, once they request for the new update, then they will get all the updates or the updated category, including that new website. Okay. Now, another one is the system category. So I showed this to you earlier regarding pending. So this is out of the box category. So these are different descriptions of different system category we have. So background categorization is being confirmed. That is pending. All right. Now, besides that, we also have what we call application and operation control. Now, this requires license to use as well. Okay. So with this, we have the ability to create a more granular policy based on the application that we have identified. So in order for you to use this, you have to make sure that you have the application license first and you have downloaded it. Okay, so when you start to download it, all right, and then you can start to create policy using it. So when you click new, we have here application, group, or name. Right? So when you click it, you can see the proxy is thinking a little bit, right, and find out all the applications. So let's say YouTube. So we have here YouTube. Let's say YT Up. Okay, so that is your YouTube. So this is what we can do. We can combine actually objects. So let me show you this as an example here. So over here, this is what we call the combined destination object. We can combine them. So let's say if the user is trying to access YouTube, and then we can add a new, which is an open operation, because we understand this at the application level, we can perform certain operation for this application. So in YouTube, what you can do in YouTube is you can play videos, right? In YouTube, you can play video. Okay, so let's say YT play vid. So what we can do is we can add them. So we are actually combining them. So let's say, how would we read this object is that YouTube and play video. So we can say YouTube, let's say play vid. Let's say no play vid. All right? So this is what we will do. So we combine, goes to YouTube, play video, and then we can specify an action. Now, how come we can do this policy? And that is because we are using the power of the application and operation control of the proxy. That's why we can do this. Okay? So you have to install this policy. But right now, okay, problem is we are not intercepting HTTPS. YouTube is HTTPS, isn't it? So youtube.com. Okay, youtube.com. Right? So it only shows you deny. www.youtube.com. Right? We are not able to look deep inside it because we are not intercepting HTTPS. We cannot apply this policy. Right? You can add basically anything in the combined category. So when you set new, combine, so when you click new, basically all this you can add. If you want category, you can add also category, right? Because in this discussion, I'm going to show only the application. So with that, this policy won't be applied, right? We cannot create a granularity regarding this policy because it is HTTPS. I'm not sure if I can. Okay. Anyway, let me defer this. And once we go into encrypted traffic management, we can go ahead and try this again. Okay, so that is basically the idea behind application and operation controls. Okay. All right. So do we have a policy for this? Yes, we have. So we'll just do the first policy. So you will have the first lab for this module, and this is the